welcome everybody. I'm so excited that you are here. I think that we met last week to talk about a letter that I received from someone, a lady who was saying that she met her husband in church, and then now her husband doesn't go to church. And so if you haven't watched that video, please go back and watch it on my channel. But today, really exciting. We are gonna talk about. This is based on all the feedback that you guys have given so far. We are gonna share some things that we wish we knew before getting married. So, if you are new here, welcome. Please put in the chat where you are joining from. We have been married for 15 years. We have 5 children together. That's a lot. And we have learned so many things along the way. Like, there are so many surprises. Like, if anybody had told me 15 years ago when I was getting married to my husband that at some point we'll become pastors, I would have said, "Oh no, that's just that's like the last thing on the list." But so many things has happened in 15 years, and so if I were to talk to my younger self, what exactly am I going to say to my younger self? That's exactly what we're going to discuss today in this life. So help me welcome my husband, and then grab a pen and a paper because this is interactive. We are going to chat. Feel free to put your questions in the chat, and as we share our experiences, or you can share your experience with us also in the chat. Okay, so Clifford, now that we are like 15 years in,
Yeah, 15 years. It's been a very great milestone. It's been a good journey, and we've had a lot of great experiences. We've learned a lot. And so many things that we've learned that I
mm-hmm,
think it's worth sharing some with you all.
mm-hmm.
Yes. So thank you so much for joining. If you are joining for the first time, you're welcome.
Okay, so now if I let me ask you, maybe the first question, what did you think marriage would automatically fix?
That's a very good question. I mean, when I was marrying, I knew that okay, well, um, once you marry, marriage is more about love, loving each other, spending time together. I mean, all those fun things. Because when I was young, anytime I saw couples working together,
Mm-hmm.
um, maybe doing life together, especially young couple, it was very beautiful. So that is one of the things that, man, I always long to see myself in that kind of scenario where in a situation or in a position whereby I see myself working with my wife, spending time together, loving each other. And when we talk about love, we don't really go into the details of love. When you're young, you're like, yeah, love
Yep.
is love.
Yep.
That's it. What do you mean by love? That no one really goes deep to talk about what really love is,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I think that, it's interesting you say that because for me, when I thought about love and marriage, I think the image that comes to mind is like a Hollywood Christmas movie, it's like, the couple, they are so much in love, they go out, they shop, he buys her flowers, and it's just that. But I think that that's part of it, but that's just a movie. It's not like every day that you are buying, your husband is bringing you flowers and all that. But I think that what we see in movies, like
it's what we fantasize.
we fantasize on it a lot, and then we sort of bring it into a marriage, and we think that that's what it's always supposed to be. So it was interesting that outside of what you see on movies with like the lovey-dovey stuff, there is life, like pretty much life, where it's not every day that you get flowers, it's not every day that you agree with your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you might think one way, sometimes your spouse might think another way. But I would tell you that my younger self, 15 years ago, when I was going to get married, I think the image I had in my mind was like, that perfect, that perfect movie. of like a
The
marriage.
Hollywood marriage, is that what
Yes,
you had?
yes, yes, yes.
Not the Nollywood or the Gollywood
No,
one.
no, no, no. It's like,
And
the
you are from Ghana, so man, you watch
yes,
a lot
the
of the Ghana movies
Ghana
and the
movie.
Nigerian movies
I
where they fantasize about a lot of
mean,
things and
everywhere.
everywhere. Because okay, well, anyways,
Yeah.
in those days where you watch a lot of Hollywood movies,
But
you see.
I think that, I still experience that in my
Yeah,
marriage
I
for
mean,
sure.
yeah. So today we are going to talk about this. We are not doing this thing to let you think that okay, marriage is not good. We are enjoying marriage because I think that even the Hollywood marriage and then all the marriage that you see, a lot of them are fake, right? They are not real. They have their own issues that they go through. But marriage always has to be done in the right way. And if it is done in the right way, you're going to enjoy it. And you'll not regret marrying because um, I believe that, and we believe, not just me, myself and my wife, we believe that the Holy Spirit can teach us into all things, into all truth. So there are a lot of things that we don't know. And we are not God, so we are not all knowing. So
Mm.
you will never know everything before you marry.
Yes.
If you are waiting to know everything about your spouse or maybe your fiancé before you marry,
You wait
you
forever.
wait forever because you are not all knowing. Neither is the person also all knowing.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to hit the moment where there's going to be the shocking moment. The first 5 years is rocky, but you survive
Mm-hmm.
it.
It's rocky. What makes it rocky? I think the part that makes it rocky is like, at least for us, before marriage, we
Mhm.
never lived together.
Mhm.
So now living together, excuse me, under the same roof, yeah, you do things differently, your spouse does things differently. I think that sometimes when we see couples and we see marriages and things, we can admire people from the outside because we don't know them intimately. To know someone intimately is like when the person comes under your roof and then you guys are living under the same roof and you are talking and you are doing life together. Maybe one person is snoring at night, one person cannot keep their stuff organized. Now that's knowing somebody intimately because then you get to know their strength, you get to know their weaknesses. And so that's I feel like that's how the first 5 years can be a bit shaky.
Yeah, and with all these individual differences, we all have individual differences. Our upbringings are different. The homes we lived in were different. Our parents were different. The way we manage our staff is different. So all these individual differences are, yes, they come into sometimes shake the marriage a little bit. I remember when we married first, I was so shy of my wife. Though I wanted to marry, we had married, and I was so shy. And when I remember, I was changing myself, and I was like, "Oh boy, I'm facing the wall just to change myself," and it's
Oh
like
my
it was
god,
so weird and
it's
awkward.
awkward.
Right? It was so awkward because that was the first time she seen me, and that was the first time seeing her, and I was like, "My goodness!" Like, I felt like I wanted to run into the
You
walls,
wanted to hide.
hide, and then just change myself, right? Because it's something that is new to me, and
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean, these are, but it was also a very genuine innocence, which actually is good because I would never have, it's not. For me, I think that that genuineness and that kind of naiveness is good because most of the times people will just want to try and do a lot of things before they marry, and then right after the marriage, it's like everything is
There's nothing to look
there's
forward
nothing
to.
to look forward to. I mean, kind of like the foundation is actually broken. So to me, I think that that was a solid foundation that we had, not knowing each other before we actually married, and that was a very good foundation that we had. It's just that the awkward
The
part of
awkward
it
part, if for the, we
is
were not gonna.
good.
Okay, now that brings me to the next question. Like, what surprised you after the honeymoon phase? Oh, I mean, like it's like maybe the honeymoon, which would be yes, you know, because we chose to not be sexually intimate before
Yeah,
marriage.
we
Uh,
never. Yeah,
so seeing each other for the first time in that manner, I'm like, oh yeah, right, we are married now. So yeah, I guess that means I see you, you see me, kind of a thing.
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it was interesting though. I
It
mean,
was
for the first time seeing
first night. It
first
was it
night,
was
and I was like, yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, anyways, I was very super pumped though because
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
you
like,
were like
yeah, I was
hyped
like
up.
ready. I was ready, but the good thing is that what I would say is that what I would have, I think we would have known if we had known, it would have been better. Would have been um it should have been that getting more sexual education,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
That would have been very great
Yeah.
because, like, sometimes when people are going to marry, they don't get a lot of education, right? Because it's something that you're going to be intimate with your spouse,
Mm-hmm.
your partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you need that counseling, that sexual education
Mm-hmm.
where you be educated, people will educate you and they educate you very well, what to do, what not to do, the right things to do, and all these things are great, all the techniques and everything that you need to know. Because
Yeah.
I think that those who are ahead of us and those who are older than us are supposed to be, they should be able to open up and talk to us and just be real.
Yeah.
So a lot of people sometimes, if that reality is not really if people are not real.
I like that you
Yeah, so that
said.
means that I'm not the only person who was shy,
Yeah,
right?
you said I was shy
So
too.
when he
Yeah,
says that I was
I was
shy
shy too.
too,
Hey, boy,
yes,
it's true. It's
yeah,
true. But I think that part of it is that, like, especially those of us who grew up in very strict homes and in Christian homes, you hear a lot about, okay, you don't have premarital sex, don't have premarital sex, don't have premarital sex, and so okay, sex is sometimes we might have. And of course, the Bible does not encourage premarital sex, but
it's a
then
sin.
it's a sin, and so you stay away from it. But at some point, you have to switch your mind to when it's time for you to have it. You're like, okay, now let's have a good conversation about it. And I think a lot of young people, it has been such a taboo for sometimes even the church to open up more about sex. And so for some of our young people, the only time they hear details about sex is from wrong sources, from pornography, because maybe the church is not talking about it, from their
Mm.
friends, and so other people. But then I think that we can have an environment where young people in the church setting, where we can talk about what healthy sex looks like, because today, like, the average child is exposed to pornography by the age of 7, which is really sad. The first time I saw that statistics, I was really shocked.
Yeah,
But I think that one of the things that maybe the body of Christ can be doing more of is educating. In addition to telling them, okay, abstain from sex, we need to tell them what God's original intention of sex is, and then the proper way and when, you
yeah. I
know.
think there is time for everything,
Mhm.
honestly, because, like, when I was young, we used to have this program at church. I was a teenager. They was, let's talk about sex,
Mm.
which they open up, they talk about a lot of things, but there are some details they will not share,
Share.
which is good because it's not good for our consumption at that time.
Yes.
When you go to school, for instance, they teach you about sex education. They do sex education in biology and everything. They teach you about a lot of things because these are, I did, you and I did science
Mhm.
when we were in high school. They taught us those things. The church sometimes would teach about some things, but in
Do you think the
everything,
church should teach about sex education though?
the church should do that, but then the church cannot talk about everything. There is time where we open up to talk about some things in depth. That is why marriage counseling is there.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're about to have to marry, it is necessary to have marriage counseling,
Mm-hmm.
right? So your counselor whoever is counseling you should be courageous and bold enough to actually talk about sex,
Mm.
any details,
Mhm.
right?
Mm.
In any details, because we can teach kids, we can do sex education and everything, but I mean, how far can we go? Even
Mm.
look at our movies that we even do. We rate it, right? At some age, you cannot. This movie will not be good for you, and all
Mhm.
those kind of stuff,
Yeah.
which is good because we have to also protect the kids, the
Mhm.
children. The fact
Mhm.
that we know that they're going to marry and they're going to face it. There are some things that God has put it in you. That is, there's a philosophy that I have. There are some things that God has put in you. It is innate.
Mhm.
Okay. It is innate. You learn it, you know it, and
Yeah.
you know how to do it.
Yeah.
And intimacy in marriage is one of those.
Mhm.
With time, you will know it,
Yeah.
right? Even if you don't know it, you'll be educated. At that age, when you're of age and you're educated and you're teachable, you will know a lot. But
Yeah.
a lot of kids who, if we say that kids are learning from pornography and those kids, they are not. It's not actually because of the education. Some people are actually educated. They have given them a lot of resources, but they just want to be curious and want to try.
Mhm.
So we have to know that in that department, the devil sometimes comes in to steal the kids and then try to destroy them with all these things,
Mhm.
right? So I will not push it too much on the church because this education goes on a lot.
Mhm.
But there is time. The Bible says there is time and season for everything.
Mhm.
When it is time for you to be exposed, your counselor must do their good job. Your
Mhm.
pastors must teach you and train you very well.
Mhm.
So I won't say that the church have to, because of this, they have to, because sometimes to premature, sometimes when you expose some people in some way, you also kind of expose them to things that they shouldn't. It's not right for them now.
Yeah, but what I was trying to
It's-
say is like maybe age appropriate materials, right?
yeah.
Because here's the thing. If we leave a lot of the education to the schools start early. Like in elementary school, they teach them some aspect of it.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? And the schools are secular. And then in middle school, they teach them some aspect of it.
Mhm.
And so if the church is shying away and say, well, let's just wait until just a little bit until they get to some point, then that means we are leaving that education to the secular world for them to do it. And so what I'm thinking is that age appropriate, what they can contain at
Mhm.
this time. Because I know that when two of my kids were in elementary school, they already asked me about sex. And I don't think that me growing up as a child I ever asked my
And it's
asked
supposed to
my
be your
parents
responsibility to
as a
teach your
parent.
kids,
Right? No, it's
right?
true. But then what about I will give you an example for me. I remember the night before my wedding, I was doing my hair and then my aunt was like, "Oh, are you ready for tomorrow night when you have sex with your husband?" And then I was a bit shy and then my aunt asked my mom, have you taught her about sex? And my mom was like, oh, but Sewako school, she's been to school, so the school should have taught her. And this is even a day before my wedding, right? And so I think that culturally, it's not something that even some parents are comfortable having that
Mhm.
conversation. And it's interesting that we are deviating into this section because but anyway, that's how our live streams are. Like we can go anywhere because we usually these things are not scripted. But I do think that parents need to have these important conversation and
The church
the
also can
church
come
can
in.
also
Yeah,
come in an
everybody has to
age
chip in.
appropriate
Yes.
manner. Under 10 years old, certain things that kids need to know because some of these education it helps the children. I mean, these days there's like sexual abuse, what is appropriate and what is not even
Mhm.
appropriate. And then ultimately the purpose and intent for sex. God created sex for pleasure. I think that for me growing up, I thought that sex is something that married people did. And I didn't really think about the pleasure aspect of it. I didn't think about sometimes you hear certain music where like a lot of the music is like, oh, the woman is so upset. So she was wearing some tight pants to sleep. And as a child, it's giving you some glimpse about what sex looks like, but it's in a very distorted form. But then we can bring it up in a way to let people know, no, this is something that God actually created, and He created for couples for pleasure, for
Mm-hmm.
so many different things, that it's not filthy when it is done in the context of marriage. I think that some of those conversations can give some people a healthy view about sex, because there are so many people who come to into marriage thinking that sex is something that they can use like as a bait. If I need something from you, you get it. If I don't need anything from you, I can punish you with it. And we lose the main purpose of it. And this can even happen to adult Christians. And so maybe rewiring our mindset about sex before marriage could be very helpful.
Yes, and also the reason why I said the church has a role to play, but not everything, right?
Mm.
One of the things is that we ourselves, if you are going to marry, educate yourself. One of the ways that there are books, there are marriage books. Let's say personally, I knew that I hadn't been in that department before. So one of the things that my marriage counselor did was that she he showed me a book, right? A book that he used to counsel people. And when he showed me that book, I actually bought that book, and I even have the book till now. I read it over and over and over again. He will do his part as a counselor, right? And then me too, I have to study.
Mhm.
So, regardless of what someone will teach you or not, there are healthy books out there
Mhm.
that are advisable, that are good, that will really train you and prepare you very well. So the church will teach us some, but will not teach us everything, because it's not everything that they can say it in a pulpit,
Right, age
right?
appropriate.
So, and then there are things that your counselors will even teach you. They may think they are giving you the best, but there are some things that even they cannot say everything, right? And then there are things that sometimes even you, the counselor, you like to tell somebody, the person that you're counseling, and as you are telling them, they are so shy that they want to just enter into the ground and vanish from you. We've had people like that. When you are trying to give them some detailed information, they are so shy, right? But which, regardless of it, we have to talk about things like this. It's just that we have to know the age limit when it is good for people to consume some content,
Mm. Mm.
because you won't say that, okay, well, let us throw it all out there, because there are some things that they are not good for kids at some age.
Mhm.
So we have to release it little by little,
Yeah.
and when they are fully blown, that is a time that you just lean in and then give them as much as they can,
Mhm.
and then let them get everything that they need. Because I don't believe that people have to go and experience it from somewhere, watch some movies before they can enrich their marriage.
Mhm.
That does not really help people to start their marriage on good foundation.
Mhm.
You need to start your marriage on good foundation. So
Mm.
there are some things that we need it to be taught by, especially during counseling.
Mhm.
You have to be open, because the person has come before you, they want to know.
Yeah.
So counseling, teaching, helping them in that 3 months, 6 months, 1 month, whatever month that they are with you, teach them, be intentional, especially about some of these things.
Hmm. Well, if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. I see Louise in the chat. I see Wendy. Thank you guys. We are talking about things that we wish we had known before we got married. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Kezia and my husband is Pastor Hayford. And we've been married for 15 years, and now we are sitting here reflecting back maybe 18 years ago before we got married, something that we wish we knew before,
Mm-hmm.
and the lessons, so that hopefully, if you are at the point where you're about to make that decision, or you're thinking about it, or you know someone that is thinking about it, these are some pointers that can be helpful. I think the next question that I wanted to ask is that I think some of the things that we have learned is that when you marry, you don't just marry a person. You marry, they come with their culture, their ways of doing things, right? And so that's another thing that surprised us when we got married, because we knew each other, but what we didn't know is like the way my family does things, the way I do things versus the way that he does things. And I will say that after 15 years of marriage, I think we have sort of meshed. You know, I brought my part, you brought your part, the good, the bad, and it's all meshed together.
Yeah, I
I don't
mean,
know.
the beautiful thing about marriage is that, you all coming from different family, different background, different character, different temperament. Everything is different. It's like having two colors. You mix it together, you don't get the same color. You don't get separate color, you get the same color. So yeah, sometimes initially when the families merge, for instance, especially when the family merges, it makes it initially becomes like awkward, because why is he doing this? Why is it that, let's say, my wife was citing this example, that there are families whereby everybody can eat from the same bowl.
Boo. Everybody, you put the food down and
You put it for
everybody's hand
everybody's
is in
hand,
it.
we're all eating together. Where I come from, definitely, a lot it's common,
Yeah.
right, for people to eat together. But then in other part of the world, everybody gets their food separate. Like if you come to my house, usually my wife and I will eat together. There are people who visit us and they're like, you guys always eat together. You eat from the same bowl. Yeah. But it looks awkward to somebody,
Yeah.
right? So if my kids learn from me, they can take it to their marriage, and it's going to look awkward. So such a thing sometimes, there are some things that may look awkward, but we just have to talk about it, begin to address it, and then get over it. If there are some things, you can never stop it, you cannot break that patterns. So that is why in
Mm,
marriage you have to accept
yeah.
your partner, whatever it is. That's why you have to learn about the person's culture,
Yeah.
learn about the settings, where they come from. You have to know where they come from. So we are from Ghana, so we have common things.
Yeah.
But let's say if we were from different part of the different countries, then I have to learn things about Ghana. Then she has to learn things about where I come from. And then even Ghana, where we come from different
Different parts,
different
different people
different we
practice
are
different
different
things.
different
Yeah.
people. So we speak different language, she speaks different language, but I mean, it's the same country.
Yeah.
So that in itself, when we are talking, that means that I don't have to speak in a native language that
Yeah.
she will not understand,
Yeah.
right?
So, for those who are joining us, the question now is, what habits did you bring from your family of origin into your marriage? Um, I think that it's very interesting that when you marry a person, you're marrying them and all the things that they
And their
bring,
family.
and their family, and the way they do things. And sometimes, for me as a therapist, sometimes you meet people and you realize that, oh, people are the way they are because of, in part, because of how they grew up.
Yes.
And I remember I heard a story about a couple, and like the woman grew up in a very, very poor family, and then the man grew up in a very rich family. And so for the woman, where she grew up, her family would go to like the food pantry to get food and everything. Like, food was scarce. And then for the man, they owned a company, so he always had abundance. Now the two of them got married, and then the woman is like, everybody thinks she's so stingy. Like, food, even if there's leftover and it's like one spoonful, she'll put it in the fridge. That's just how she does every little thing. Nothing goes into the trash.
Mm-hmm.
And so her husband, and they're having problems in their marriage because why is she like so, like every little thing is
She
she's
tries to
keeping,
conserve
she's
everything.
conserving everything. But then her husband on the other hand, there has always been abundance. And so he doesn't conserve everything. But that's some of the dynamics that we bring into the marriage. And so they are crashing, and they are taking the problem as face value. But the more you talk to them, you realize that, oh, this woman conserves the little, it can be one spoonful of stew. She's going to freeze it because she grew up in scarcity. She has always been on survival mode. There are days when she, as a child, she slept hungry. And so we don't realize that over time, those things that we're exposed to as
We
children, they
carry it with
become part
us.
of us. They become part of our coping strategy. So the way she copes is like, oh, let me always save this little things because they may not be enough for tomorrow. And so now, even into her marriage, she has that same mindset. And then the husband on the other hand, like we've always had abundance, enough food to eat and enough to throw into the church. Why are we saving leftover food for tomorrow? We can always make another one. And so you can see how that becomes a problem. So, there are certain things, maybe our culture, our upbringing, the way that the things that we have been exposed to, that definitely changes some of the dynamics that each person brings into the relationship.
Yes, and as when we were talking about this, there's also one that really came to mind. I know this friend who I know someone who kind of like he's married, but he doesn't eat food that leftover.
Leftover food.
So every day has to be fresh,
Oh my God, that's
and so
that's a
every day the
lot.
wife has to cook fresh food.
Oh, yeah,
So
no, that.
you don't have to, he eats, you cook today, everything has to be finished. If it's not finished, he's not going to eat it tomorrow. So I mean, if you're keeping it for tomorrow, that means you're going to eat it by
But let me
yourself.
ask you, because does he know how to cook to?
No, the woman has to do it.
Oh wow.
Okay, so that's family the culture thing,
Yeah.
where he doesn't know how to cook. He has to eat every day. He doesn't have to eat from outside, and so every day his food has to be cooked
Fresh.
fresh from scratch.
Yeah.
Now, if the woman knew it before they married, it wouldn't be a problem. But if the woman did not know before they married and then she got to know after marriage, it's going to pose problem on the marriage, right? Because then this woman,
Yes. I like the comment. Someone says some of us are really lucky. Yes.
yeah, so that means that every day is fresh food. Okay, and this itself, if you have a woman who don't know how to cook or someone who knows how to cook bad, she cannot catch up with everyday cooking. It will be a big problem to the marriage, right? It will be a very big problem to the marriage because then you have to cook every day. Your husband don't eat fresh leftover food.
Yeah.
Not even frozen.
Yeah.
Okay, it has to be fresh.
Yeah, me too. I agree with Wendy's comments in the chat. Me too. I can't cook every day like that.
Yeah.
But it tells you, but that man who has that expectation that I can never eat leftover food, food always has to be fresh. That is how he grew up. He grew up doing that. In fact, imagine if his mother comes to visit them and then sees that there's leftover food like 3 days, 4 days in the fridge that his son is about to
Really?
eat. She's going to be shocked because that's just not how they do things. And so you see that when we marry the culture also. People bring their culture, and over time you have to be intentional to modify something. Some things may have worked in your grandparents' time, but like in your time today, it might not work.
Doesn't
and
work.
and so it is important, but it's good to recognize that, oh wow, so when you were growing up you ate leftover food. Wow, that's interesting. We never ate that. But then you look at your environment right now and you know that we can't cook food every single day.
Yes,
So
and especially if it is putting problems. Let's say if your wife cannot do it, and now a lot of women cannot do it. The reason is because gone were those days where women were always at home and where now women work equally as men work. So
Mhm.
then, if let's say you want every day, you want your food to be fresh every day, and you didn't even know how to cook, then you have to learn how to cook.
Yeah.
It's time for you to get tutorials from the wife. Then, or you go to University of YouTube to watch how to cook, and then you can surprise your wife,
Yeah.
right? Because if not, then you see, just this cooking thing is going to put a lot of problem on the
Mhm.
marriage, and then the
Mhm.
marriage is going to be, it's going to be a lot of stress every day, and it's not going to be good, right?
Mhm.
So um
Yeah.
our culture can bring a big shift
Yeah.
to a marriage, and shift it to skew it to a place where we all don't want it to be.
Yeah. And for our viewers, I have a question for you. And Wendy, you can put this in the chat for us. What's one habit that you brought from your childhood that you have to unlearn? Like maybe now that you have been married, what is one habit that was okay when when you were single that now you have to unlearn? We can put that in the chat, and I want to hear what people have to say. What is one habit that you brought into your relationship that you know that maybe back then in your childhood it worked, but that habit is just causing too much chaos in your marriage, and you have to unlearn that habit.
Okay, so we are waiting for the audience, right?
Audience, someone says, so Pastor, to be honest, even if I'm a housewife, I cannot cook every day. I like
That you see, Wendy, that is why I think that's why your husband is not the fresh. For
this.
me, I eat any food. Okay, I eat whether fresh or not fresh, whether frozen or no frozen. So I think some of you guys, you have to really,
Yes, we love you. We thank God that you are not too hard to love, but it can be hard. Now,
Yeah,
if both of
I
them come from a
mean,
culture where nobody eats leftovers, then it's
then
okay.
that is
It works for
normal.
them.
Then both of them are
But
going to
but
be.
then otherwise it's different. And talking about different cultures, I remember years ago I was working somewhere in a different state, and I met this lady. We met in the lactation room, and she looked so upset, and I was like, what's wrong? And she said, well, I'm getting a divorce. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? Well, she's from a different culture, different country, different race, different ethnicity, and her husband. So this is a multicultural marriage. And her husband traveled to go and do some work for like a week. And so when her husband came, her husband, took an Uber from the airport, got home, and her husband was like, hey, what's for dinner? I'm really hungry. Now, she is from a culture where, like, the men can cook as well. And this man is coming from a culture where the woman cooks. And so the woman is like, what do you mean you're hungry? You've been traveled all week. I'm here with the baby. I'm looking for someone to give me food, and you just came from the airport, and then you are saying you're hungry, and then it became like a big argument. And so when I met her the next morning, we were just both of us were in the lactation room, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm getting a divorce." And when I was like, "Well, tell me what's going on," and when she shared that with me, I was like, "Oh." Okay. So that's just a culture clash because in some cultures, if your spouse travel or anybody, a friend, anybody is coming from outside of the country and they've been on a flight for like 12 hours, the expectation is that by the time they get home, food is ready and then they can eat. And then his wife is coming from a culture that's like, listen, I'm a wife, I have a baby, and I'm tired and hungry too. So there's no expectation for me. I don't have to have food ready for you just because you've been traveled. And that brought a lot of conflicts in that relationship. So sometimes I think multicultural marriages are beautiful. Even in the Bible, there's a lot of multicultural marriages. If you think about Rahab, and there are a lot of very beautiful, like Esther, Queen
Mhm.
Esther. There are a lot of very beautiful marriages that are multicultural. But when you find yourself in a multicultural marriage, there's definitely a lot of learning, and you have to give each other grace and learn each other's culture so that
Mhm.
you can be able to assimilate.
Yeah, which is good because this is worth talking about, because sometimes multicultural marriages, this is not going to end. It's going to always be there, because you're going to have people marrying from different countries, different settings, and we have all these different stuff, right?
Yeah.
And we, if you know that you're going to marry someone who is not from your country, you have to begin to learn their culture, get to know the person, because this alone can break your home, right? Everything can work, but the culture. You go somewhere, in some cultures, you cannot use your left hand to shake the hands of somebody. Once you go, you see an adult, and then you use your left hand to shake them. It's respect. It's disrespect. Sorry, it's respect. Or maybe you go and then you have this. You go to your in-laws' house, and the way some things that you used to do in your settings, you can't do it in that settings. So before you marry a person, you just have to get to know them, and it's supposed to be part of the process. Get to know them, and know them very well.
Mm.
Get to know their family, get to know their culture, get to know the parents, get to know the brothers and sisters, get to know everybody. And once you know them, what you need to do is that then you should begin to learn,
Yeah.
because we have to learn. If you don't learn, then you won't go far,
Yeah.
right? So you learn, and then you have to unlearn some things too.
Mm-hmm.
You are coming, that your father-in-law wouldn't want you, or your mother-in-law will not appreciate you shaking the hands with your left hand. Then learn to shake with your what? Your right hand.
Yeah.
That's it. There are some things, it will not take anything away from us. So we just have to learn how
Yeah.
to live with people, how to really, culture is a way a group of people live.
Yeah.
So if you're going to marry, then there's going to be also acculturation. So you're going to learn how to live with a group of people you've never lived with.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have to learn their culture, so you'll be able to live with the woman and the family,
Yeah.
or the man and his family.
Yeah. I've heard of a story of a culture in some part of Southern Asia where when the in-laws come, whether it's your mother-in-law or your father-in-law, they must sleep on the best bed in the house. And so when the in-laws come, they come and sleep in the master bedroom on the bed. They don't sleep in the guest room because the guest room is not the best bed there. And so if you are marrying into a culture like that, you can imagine the culture shock when your in-law comes and you're like, okay, yeah, that's the guest room, you sleep there. And then maybe it's like a queen size bed, but you are in the master bedroom on a king size bed, and she immediately feels insulted. So it is important to sort of
I
talk
understand
about
it.
some of these things, and then decide what you and your spouse are going to do about it. Someone put a comment here. Someone says that, so I'm a little bit reserved and hardly make friends. On the other hand, my husband has a lot of friends, so now I'm trying to wisely open up to people. I grew up in a home that was just me and my siblings. Yes, so that too, I know, I know that too is something that changes the dynamic a little bit. There are some people, and it can be the wife or the husband, they have a lot of friends. So you see that every other week, for some people, there's like a party at home, friends are coming over, maybe co-workers are coming over, and then maybe you grew up in a house where it's like
It's just
it's just you, so you might feel a bit overwhelmed.
you.
You and your siblings and the people that matter. So this every other Saturday, all these other people coming into the house can be very new. And so it's important. I think that when that happens, it's important to have those conversations and to recognize, how different both of you are and what will work best for what you have.
Yeah.
So
And some of things like this too. So I think there are things that you can actually discuss with your spouse, especially if your spouse likes people, and then you are like, well, you can talk to your spouse. If it is overwhelming, it's too
mhm,
much, you have to have a dialogue about communication about it. That is fine. Or you have to learn just to, be part of it in a very nice way,
mhm.
so that you also, because your friend your spouse's friends are your friends.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not, your spouse's friends are your friends, or else they will say that you don't like people. So what you do is that you always, it's just like how you are saying, you're wisely opening up
Yes.
to be part of their family.
Yeah.
Is that is wisdom right there, like
Yeah.
what you've said is wisdom right there, because there are people who say, well, me, I don't like people, me, I don't like when they will drive all your friends away. So we
Yeah.
don't have to do that. Wisdom must always have it full course in everything
Yes.
that we do.
Yes. All right. Well, as we are wrapping up, I think we've talked a lot.
Yes.
As we are wrapping up, I think that some things that we didn't expect that have happened, or some changes that have happened, sometimes roles, gender roles in the home, like who does what. Maybe you may grow up in a house where your father actually really cooks. I remember I had a coworker who told me she and her husband have been married for 25 years. She has never cooked. And like, my African self is like, wait, excuse me, what did you just say? She says like, she says, Kezia, I don't know how to cook. And so her husband is a terrific cook. And so he does all the cooking, and then she cleans the kitchen, and it works for their relationship,
Yeah. Hmm.
and so if her daughter goes into marriage and she doesn't know how to cook, she wouldn't find it weird. She would think that it's okay if my husband knows how to
Yeah.
cook. It's good, it works. It's like
Mommy,
everybody
mommy
can
did not
cook,
know how to cook, and he can cook.
and
Yeah.
then, but if a man also comes into a relationship, she marries a man who her mother has cooked the whole time, but his father didn't know how to cook, he's going to be shocked to find a woman who doesn't know how to cook.
Hmm.
So sometimes, the gender roles, who is doing the lawn, who is doing the cooking, or sometimes in some homes, maybe the mothers are like housewife completely, they've never worked outside of the home,
Hmm.
and then you find yourself in a home where maybe you might have to work as much as your husband or even more. And so sometimes the gender roles changes, who is staying home with the children versus who is going to get the job.
So,
Sometimes parenting, the way that we parenting skills might differ.
yeah. So should I think these things that you're touching, they are very good points, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to get to a point also to say that when you're going to marry, you have to set expectations.
Mm.
These things, some of these things, you have to be open up and discuss. Because let's say if you don't know how to cook, just be open to your husband. You're then the person you're going to marry. "Yeah, I don't know how to cook." Right? Once you tell the person you don't know how to cook, if he knows how to cook, maybe he will assume that position for you, or both of you can learn together,
Mm-hmm.
or one, or you have to learn it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with learning, right? Um, it's it is what it is. So there are things that we should open up. Just open
Yeah.
up. There are things you can never hide it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in a relationship, you want to hide things. You want to, oh yeah, I don't want him to know this. I don't want her to know this. And all those kind of things. The things you're hiding, it will come
To like.
to light. That is the reason why people divorce and people
Mm.
are shocked, because when we are in a relationship, we try to hide, we try to please people, we try to do all kinds of things. And so after the marriage, you cannot hide,
Mm.
you cannot please the person. So it is better to be open right from the beginning. So if they love you, they should love you as you are. Yeah, you don't know how to cook, you were open. I don't know how to cook. I can't even boil water. You let the person know. Okay. So once you have this, it will be very, very good to help people,
Mm-hmm.
right? To help your spouse
Mm-hmm.
really know that, okay, well, I'm not expecting you to be cooking food every day,
Mm.
right? Or you know how to cook, but all those kind of stuff, right? All those expectations must be set.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that we've spoken a lot, so
Yeah.
we can bring it to an end. This is
Yeah.
a never-ending
This is
conversation.
a never-ending
Yeah,
conversation. So
so
yeah, we are
let's
gonna
bring it
wrap
to
up.
an end.
We have talked a lot. I'm just gonna summarize everything. We've talked about, we've talked about surprises after the honeymoon. We've talked about, expectations that we both brought into the relationship, traditions, gender roles, and so much and so forth. So I hope that that helped. We're going to continue the conversation again, same time next week on Wednesday. So God bless you. Have a good night, everybody. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe or share the video to anybody who might find this information helpful. God bless you.
Amen.